Good morning, everybody. It's a rainy day here in Texas, and I think our live today is actually going to be more of what not to do, okay? So everybody's seen those really pretty pictures where they have the crayons that they've done across the top, and then they all drip down, right? And then they have like a cute umbrella, whatever, there to be able to help, right? So that's what so that's kind of what we were kind of doing today. The other thing is that I wanted to let you guys know that, I'm not an expert in crafting by any means. Really a lot of the times for my craft lives, I try and I just think up an idea and then I decide that I want to share it. And so then I try and do it so then I'm able to share it, right? So that's why this live is more of a what not to do when you're doing these, because I experimented quite a few different ways that were generally explained around the internet. And so some of them turned out scarier than others, but what I can definitely tell you is there was a lot of really big mess. So I don't know if you guys can really see, but this is a part of the huge disaster. And look at all this all over my brand new desk. Luckily, it comes off really easy, so that's a plus, so that the crayon comes off things easy. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on some of the things you don't want to do. Okay, let me see. All right, so I went to the dollar store, and they actually have, lots of canvas at the dollar store, so I'll show you some of the things that do work, okay? All right, so we got our canvas from the dollar store, just busting it open. And honestly, I went through, let's see, 5 canvases on the practices. All right, so just taking that off. And this one was just I think it's a 5x7. Okay, so it's a nice little one. That's what we're starting with. Good morning, Sue. All right, so, and then what we'll want to do is, of course, get crayons. So this is the first what not to do I wanted to tell you guys. So these are the glitter crayons. So those actually worked pretty good. But what didn't work very good is the off-brand dollar store crayons. Do not get these. Luckily, they still have Crayola at the dollar store, but do not use these ones. So what actually happened is it wasn't working, okay? So it wasn't working at all. I was getting super frustrated what the different methods of doing it. And I was like, I don't get why this isn't working. And so when I grabbed the second one, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just use the glitter crayons because, the glitter. So, and then with the glitter crayons, I lined them up. So I've got a little bit of an umbrella in here. So I lined them up, right? And what happened was there was still a little bit of space in between. So I was like, oh, I'll grab one of these crayons and just fill it in, right? Makes sense. And so what happened is I started heating it all up and those ones did not melt. So they just kind of they became mushy, but they didn't melt. So if you guys decide to try and do this, do not use the dollar store crayons, okay? The off-brand. You want to use Crayola. They definitely work a lot better. So just between the two, the Crayola is definitely a better option, and I didn't test a whole pile to be able to tell you other ones. So you definitely want to use Crayola crayons, okay? Because we are working with a smaller piece, we'll also want to break the crayons up because if you look at this one I had actually just broke the crayons in half and it's like super thick. I don't know how well you can see, but it's like super thick up there. And so I was still experimenting. Like I said, this is more of a what not to do because I do not have a completed product to show you guys, okay? So I decided that we needed to break it up even smaller. And so what I did for this one that I started, actually, let's go ahead and just show you how to line them up because that's a quick thing to do. All right, so one thing that I learned is the glitter crayons are kind of hard to get the papers off. I used to think it was super easy back when we were in school. But now, as an adult, I seem to have so much trouble trying to get these papers off. I also have really weak nails, so that could be part of it. Okay, these ones are even harder than the glitter ones were. All right, let's get that one started. All right. This is going to take the most time. That's ridiculous. Okay, well, you got to unwrap a whole pile of them. Oh, you can order them already shaped. That's awesome. That's a great idea. That would make it so much easier. So, sorry, Jan said that you could shave or grade them, and I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. All right, so what we did though is we kept them whole, you know, and then I decided to break them into 3. Okay, and so I just kind of toss aside the extras because there's going to be extras, and just break it into 3. Okay, make sure you guys can see, and then line them all up on the top. So this is just a small example. You just want to line them all up on the top. If you have any ends that are pointed, make sure you're pointing them down, and make sure to get a couple of them more in the middle, because those ones actually kind of give the drip effect just a little bit better and are a little bit easier to control where they're going, okay? So another 1, 2, 3, once more. This is just an example. And then once you get them all lined up, once more, I don't have enough to fill it because this is just an example, right? You want to tape them down, okay? And make sure you go around the canvas just a little bit. If you're having trouble seeing, just swipe the comments to the right and you'll be good. All right, and then make sure you go around so then you can get that flap again, that tape at the end, and be able to take it off when we're done, okay? All right, so that's us getting started, right? Okay, and I don't suggest doing this, holding it upright after you've got them taped because they often move, and you will want it much higher. My taping example was not the best. All right, you want it much higher and even going over the edge, so then you can get some of it pouring that way, right? All right, so one of the methods that I had heard about that I was like, oh, that sounds like a great thing to try. I will show you that, you know, it actually turned out okay, not fabulous. And what they suggested, and I had just my small glue gun, so I'm wondering if a larger glue gun would have worked better. But they said that you use the crayons and you put them into the glue gun. And as you can see, my poor glue gun definitely had the battle of the crayons. Okay, so this is what I strongly suggest not to do. Do not use a small one. If any of you guys have tried it with the big one, okay, and then you're able to squeeze it and use it as a drip. Now the problem is what it seems to happen is that it still kind of like solidifies anyways, and then it blocks it. It causes a clog. And then you finally get past the clog and it explodes. And so much so that I already showed you guys my huge mess of a workspace. And then you have to use up the whole crayon. So I have huge blobs of crayon because I had to like squeeze it out to get it out. And had to like I used my paintbrush to shove it out because it doesn't move quite the same. So like I said, it might work better in a larger glue gun, but in the small ones, it does not work. Do not do that. It was so bad, in fact, that one of the times I was trying to get it through, it actually blew up and burned my lip because it was such a powerful thing. So that's another thing of what not to do. That's a big no. But it did come out okay. But as you can see, when it splattered, it would cross over and just go wherever it wanted to, including all over my sign from last week. You can see like it literally splattered everywhere. So don't do that. All right, so what I decided was the better method out of the ones I tried was going ahead and using the blow dryer. So my tips for that of what not to do as well. See, and look at this poor candle. It got so splattered, all my crafts. All right, so I have my blow dryer and I have different settings on it. So I don't use it very often. So it has a low, it has a high, it has a hot and a warm. So the warm actually just doesn't do anything. It just sits there. It's not hot enough to be able to melt the crayon. So you want to make sure that you put it on high. Okay, or on the hot, and when it comes to high or low, you want it on low. So the hot makes it hot enough that it melts it. The hot makes it hot enough to melt it, right? And then for the high and low, the low makes it still hot enough as when you have it on hot, but if you go ahead and put it on high, then it blows it wherever it wants to blow it, and it causes a big mess, big splatter, burns, not so much fun. So don't put it on high, and make sure you put it on hot, okay? And that will actually get it melting. What I like to do is to make sure to blow on this way first. And so what I did to get started, I don't have an example right here, but what I did is I blow dry on this side first and holding it upright a bit. And so that will help them to be able to melt. Make sure I have this on the right setting. And that will help it to melt, and it will drip down the side, so then it fills in the top a bit. As you can see, it kind of did that. And it will help like get this part a little bit thinner too, so then you're not having to use it all coming down, right? All right, so then once you got that a little bit more covered and melted, then you can start doing on this side. And it does take a bit of time. Like I tell you, I think it takes about a minute on one spot to get it soft enough that it actually starts dripping, okay? So I want to show you guys that and make sure I'm not making a big mess of it, okay? So now we're going to be leaning it a little bit more this way, okay? And once more, it just takes a little bit of time just to let it get hot enough. And once more, you can put it on high, but it gets a lot harder to control. And so you'll have it like melting down a lot quicker, or maybe splattering or going in wonky directions and stuff, where when you have it on low, it works a little bit better. And I found that my blow dryer actually had an angle on it. So it's like when I was able to recognize what angle it was coming out at, then I was able to control it just a little bit better. And so you want to hold it in the one spot for a while to get that spot, and then kind of move across. And another way that I found that helped with, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. Say hi if you can hear me over the blow dryer, so then I know. But one of the things that I found that worked was if you blow dry on one spot and then go to the other side, because otherwise it kind of melded some of the colors more together. So you want to start on one side, then do the other side, and then maybe do the middle. Alright, so we're just getting it to start melting here. And it's sometimes harder to be patient, especially while I try to do these lives, because I try to make them nice and quick for you. But I do want you guys to see what happens. And so another good way to be able to control it is kind of keep it a little bit more flat, so then you're able to control the rate of which it's dripping. Or you can wait till it gets nice and soft and then just kind of like tip it upward and then pour it a bit. Alright, it's just barely starting to drip there. Oh, that orange is starting to go. Let me see. There you go. Alright. Okay, so it's just starting to melt some there. Alright, so it looks like it's definitely more than 1 minute that it takes for it to melt. So you aim for 2 minutes for each section at least, just for this melting part, right? Alright, looks like it'll pour a bit. Not quite. There goes the orange. Okay, melt some of the other ones beside it a bit more. And it does get a little bit hot on the fingers, so make sure you're not blowing on your fingers. And it's still just the orange going. So as you can see, it does take a bit of time, but it does have a nice effect when it's done. Going to work on the ends a little bit more there. I want you guys to see more than one drip. Alright, we got the pink starting to go. And green starting to go a bit there. Looks like the black dripped a bit. Alright, so that's a little bit of an example of how it'll go. You know, take your time. You can move the angles around a little bit to be able to get it going. Alright, and so this one was the one that I did that had the half chunks. And so hopefully with it being broken into 3, there'll be less crayon at the top. So it'll be a little bit thinner. It'll come out a little bit thinner than this one. Alright, and so for the umbrella, I actually totally cheated. I went to the dollar store, and there's crayon on this too. It's splattered everywhere, I'm telling you. All right, so I found this cute card at the dollar store, and I was like, you know what? This works for everything. I can use it for the stencil for the umbrella because of these scalloped edges. Okay. And if not, you can usually just find something circular, you know, so you can get the scallop effect. And then I have the people there. And let me see. Oh, there it is. And so as you can see, I cut the people out, and I got some black paint on there, but it's still the same people from the card there, see? All right, and then what I did is I simply, let's see if I have my example here. All right, so I cut out a chunk of this, so right here, right? So I just cut that out to be able to use as a stencil, and I traced it on the back of the card and cut it out, okay? So I went, put it upside down, cut it out, super simple, and then I use this, just a ribbon. So, I mean, you're just working with circles, so just look around your house for good circles, and I use the ribbon to be able to give me the stencil around to be able to get the umbrella, right? So super easy. And then what I did is I used just some black paint from the dollar store that I got, and I just painted them black. So that's the one side of them. I painted them black, and I'm just gonna add them here. And how cute will that be? So that's it, like super easy. There was lots of other cards that you could use. I noticed this one might be a good one for a bigger one, where you could just trim up a couple of things, take this off, and they'll can you see it's 3D, so it's sticking out. So I'll be able to just take that off and put it onto another picture to be able to use them as one of the examples, you know. And so there's lots of different things you can do with this, but I definitely wanted to share with you guys because honestly, this was a huge struggle to be able to figure out this craft. And so I really wanted to warn other people that when you try this craft, that there's certain things that I know you shouldn't do. And I hope that makes it easier if you guys try it. If you guys have had success with trying these crayon art, then please go ahead and show us your picture. Totally brag about it because mine were a little bit sad. And then, you know, let us know how you guys did it. Let us know those few tips that maybe I don't know and that I'm learning. And if you had epic fails like me, go ahead and tell your story too, and we can find out, you know, maybe we can discover what went wrong and help you out. And I think that's everything. Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday. It was nice talking to you all again. And if you want to see more of my videos, you're welcome to add me as a friend, or you can follow me or anything else. Oh, hi, Carmen, you made it. Carmen always watches, but she's always late, and it's always a pleasure to have her. All right, you guys all have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to y'all next Tuesday. Bye-bye.